Hey everyone, welcome to Open and Free. In this class, we're going to build a lot of heat and open nice and deep into your hips. So when you're ready, I'll meet you right back here on your mat and we'll get started in Child's Pose. We're going to get started today in a nice wide knee child's pose. Now, since we're opening into the hips, I actually want you to think of this as our first hip opening pose. So take your knees wide enough to start to really snuggle down your rib cage in between your thighs if you can. And if this is uncomfortable on your quads or too much of a stretch, you can always place a block between your heels and have a seat on that. Once you come down into your wide knee child's pose, let's take a moment just to soften. And without really reaching through your fingertips, let your shoulders draw back just slightly. And start to notice. It's kind of checking in with yourself, what's been going on in your body lately, even where your mind has been going. So much of what we do off the mat comes into play when we're on the mat. Our diet, what we did the night before, what's going on in our personal life. And this is a time for you to just reflect back on that, not with judgment, but just to honor the space that you're in. Always practicing in a place of gratitude and openness, open to whatever our bodies are going to give us and however our practice unfolds. Let's take our first breath together, nice and deep, nice full inhale, deepest breath of your day. Keep a little pause at the top of your breath. Maybe you can sip in even a little more. And then open your mouth, exhale, let it go. Let's do one more like that. Lips sealed this time. Inhale, breathing nice and deep in through the nose. Keeping your lips sealed, exhale fully and completely out through the nose. I want you to do 5 more on your own, starting to build your breath, starting to create a rhythm with your breath, a pattern with your breath. And flowing today, think of your breath as a tool, something that's going to keep your mind focused when it starts to wander onto anything else that's happening off the mat. Just come right back here, lengthening your breath. Deepening your breath. With your next inhale, start to find a little more activation, start to work into your hands. Grounding down into your fingertips. Begin to lift your elbows. Wrap your triceps under, biceps spiral upward. Nice and active here in the arms. We'll take our last breath in Child's. And with your exhale, ease yourself up onto hands and knees. Adjust yourself so that your hips are above your wrists, or your hips are above your knees, shoulders above your wrists. And keep the same engagement in the hands, pressing down into your fingertips. Looking at your hands, try to spread nice and even from your pinky finger to your thumbs. And as you keep the activation in the hands with a nice deep breath in, open your chest, lift your gaze, lift your tailbone. With an exhale, cat pose, round your back body. Tuck your chin. Inhale, spread wide across your collarbones, gazing up. Exhale, press the mat away. We'll do one more like that. Inhale. Exhale. I want you to keep the roundness in your back. Tuck your toes and actively press yourself all the way up and back, working into our first downward facing dog. Well, first down dog of the class, take a moment here and feel it out. Me working and moving into any tightness in your body, any stiffness in your body. Just letting your movement be a little more intuitive here, whether that's walking out your dog or finding stillness right away. As we flow through this class, I will guide you. But as always in any class I teach, I really want you to listen inward. And if you need to make any modifications, I encourage you to do that. Let's come back to a little bit of stillness here. Start to hide your heels behind your calves. Press your hips up and back. And with an inhale, sweep your right leg all the way up, bend your knee and open your hip. Let's do this without opening the chest if you can. Nice deep breath in, lift up onto your left tippy toes. And with your exhale, shift forward, bringing your right knee to your right tricep. Inhale, take it all the way up and back, bend your knee, open your hip. And again, exhale, right knee, right tricep. Try to come on the outside edge of the arm so your hips stay open. One more time, inhale up and back, bend your knee, open your hip. And then last time, right knee, right tricep. We'll carefully step on the outside edge of our right hand. Well, first time in lizard, I want you to actually stay on the hands today. We're going to keep your back toe tucked for now and stay really active in your back left quad. Notice where your right knee is according to your right big toe. Sometimes we tend to let the knee sprawl out. This time I want you to really hug your right hip back, hug your left hip forward, and keep the active pressure here in your hands. So nothing has changed since we set up our hands from child's pose. Let's take one more breath. And just as carefully as we step forward, we'll step back into plank pose. Just trying to move only the limbs we need to move, not necessarily rocking forward or back. Just finding a little more awareness. Notice your hands. Notice where you are weighting them. And try to find equal pressure. Fingertips, row of first knuckles, and then the heel of your hands. Take an inhale, shift forward. Finding our first vinyasa with control, we'll lower nice and controlled and slow. Chaturanga, slight pause. Inhale, scoop your heart, upward facing dog. Exhale, ease your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Well, same side right away, sweep your right leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. This time we'll come onto the right fingertips as well. Begin to lift your gaze up and under your right arm. With control, when you're ready, let's flip it all the way over. Dancer's bridge. And take it slow. Just letting your body warm up when it's ready. Open your chest, press your hips up to the ceiling. With control, find a little bit of core awareness as you draw your right knee into your chest. And we'll step forward. Coming back to lizard lunge this time, I want you to lower your back left knee down. And maybe even ease onto your forearms. The same idea here, notice the knee. We're not going to open quite yet. I want you to do your best to keep it tracking above your right big toe. Let's go last 3. And we're finding a little more length through the back left leg and left side body. 2. Good, final breath here. Retuck your left toes. Lift your left knee up off the mat. We'll come all the way down into a wide straddle. Pivoting your toes inward, heels outward. Take a moment and just soften, whether that's your hands under your shoulders, or if you have the space, you can come onto your forearms. And hooking your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. And exhale, if you have the space, fold in, maybe finding a little bend in your elbows. This will look different in all of us. 2 more times like that. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Last time, inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, draw yourself back down. Release the toes. Come onto your hands, hands under your shoulders. Inhale, halfway up. This time we'll take it all the way into Skandasana. So I'm having a seat in the back left heel. Really doing my best to keep my left heel grounded. So if you need to be propped up here, using a little more quad or a couple blocks, that's fine. But do your best to keep your left heel down. Right toe spiral up. Inhale, reach your right arm up. And think of really not only opening your hips, but expanding nice and wide across your chest. And ease your way back up to center. Inhale. We'll take the same pose on the second side with an exhale, Skandasana. Sitting into your right heel. Left toe spiral up, and when you're ready, inhale, open your chest, and reach your left arm up. Good. Inhale up through center, pivoting everything to your right. Take your hands to the inside of your right foot, and final time we'll come back down into lizard, lowering your left knee, lowering down onto your forearms, and maybe adding the twist. So right hand to your right thigh. I'm still keeping my right knee in line with my right big toe. So if that means that you're coming onto the outer edge of your foot, that's fine. Just be mindful. And we find a little more depth in the left hip, and we can start to open our gaze. Let's come back down to our hands. Retuck your left toes, lift your left knee, and we'll step forward into Malasana. Heels in, toes out. I like to really use my elbows here on my inner thighs to find even more like a self-assist, even more openness in my hips, and also openness in my chest. So sitting up nice and tall, take a deep breath in. With your exhale, straighten your legs, pivoting your heels back behind your toes in a wide stance, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold back down. 2 more like that. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, we'll fold. Last time, inhale. And with an exhale, step your left foot back, followed by your right plank pose. Shift forward with an inhale, and nice and controlled. So as we lower, think of lowering shoulders and hips evenly and equally. Inhale, scoop your heart. Exhale, downward facing dog, lift your hips. Take a nice deep breath in, sweep your left leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Trying to open your hip without also opening your left shoulder. Let's come high on your right toes. With an exhale, left knee, left tricep. Trying to find a little tap on the outside edge of your arm. Inhale all the way up and back, bend your knee, open your hip. And 2 more like that. Exhale, left knee, left tricep. Inhale up and back. Last time, exhale. Left knee, left tricep. And carefully, quietly step on the outside edge of your left hand. Well, first time around, we'll stay on the hands, and we'll stay on the back toes. So really finding an active stretch here. Activate your back right quad, drawing your heel forward to send your right hip forward. And gaze down. Is your left knee in line with your left big toe? And can you keep hugging your outer left hip back? Let's find a little more awareness in the hands. Think of really actively pressing the mat away. I'm trying to create as much space from my chest to the mat as I can. Good. Last breath in. As quietly as we step forward, let's step back, plank pose. Shift forward and lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Same side right away, left leg lifts. Bend your knee, open your hip. And this time, come onto your left fingertips. Bringing your gaze all the way up and under. Take your time. I'm still opening into the body. It's still early in class. When it feels right, we'll flip our dog. Use your legs here. Really using your legs for leverage. Press your hips up. Open your chest and reach. And keeping all of this lift, staying really strong in your bottom right hand. Let's find a tiny bit of core. Draw your left thigh into your left rib cage. And gracefully, we'll step forward. Coming back to lizard lunge, let's lower your right knee down. And if you have the space in your body, we can come down onto your forearms in this one. Find a little length through the back right leg. As you're here in lizard, really think of finding just that length and space. All right, so we're finding depth here in the hips, maybe a little more depth in the right hip towards the mat, but I'm still finding the action of lengthening forward. One more breath. Ease back up to your hands. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, and we'll pivot everything to the right, coming back to our wide straddle. So toes in, heels out. Take a moment here and just relax. Again, hooking your big toes, maybe even the outer edges of your feet. Inhale, find a little resistance as we lengthen and lift halfway up. Exhale, draw yourself back down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, draw yourself back down. And last time, inhale, we'll lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up, hands under your shoulders. With an exhale, Skandasana into your back right heel. The second time that we're here on this leg, try to sit up a little taller. So maybe even finding space from your right side body to your right thigh. With an inhale, twist. Reach your left arm up, lift your gaze. Inhale, lift up through center, and with an exhale, we'll take it to the top of our mat into our left heel. Inhale, right arm up, gaze up. And come back up through center, and we'll pivot everything to the left. Last time in lizard lunge, we'll come down onto our forearms, down onto the back knee, and this time option to add in the twist. Left hand to your left thigh, maybe finding a little more depth of your right hip towards the mat. Come back up to your hands. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, stepping forward, Malasana. Sink your hips down, hands to your heart, lift your chest. As you're lifting your chest, can you draw your shoulders away from your ears? Maybe find a little control of your low belly pulling in and up. And we'll exhale, plant your hands, pivot your heels behind your toes, and fold in. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands. We'll step back, plank pose. Right foot first, followed by the left. Shift forward and lower chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And come back into downward dog. Maybe you're still craving a little movement, and that's fine. As we work into stillness, let's bring our feet together. Toes will touch, a little space between your heels. With an inhale, bend your knees, gaze forward. And with your exhale, float, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold back in. One deep breath, come all the way up to standing Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, arms up, gaze up. Exhale, lengthen and fold. With your breath halfway up, inhale. Plant your hands, step back to plank, or even a little float back through chaturanga. Take your vinyasa. Inhaling for your back bend. And exhaling up and back to down dog. As we flow through Surya Namaskar A, I want you to listen to your body. If you're feeling playful and you want to add on, you can add in handstands, extra chaturangas, whatever your body needs. Maybe you need a little bit more restorative, and that's fine as well. You can even skip chaturanga and step straight back to down dog. When you're ready, bend your knees, gaze forward. Exhale, float. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Good. Inhale, stand tall, sweep up, gaze up. Hands to your heart, feel your core engage here. Inhale. Easy back bend at the top. Exhale, reach and fold. Inhale for length, halfway. Exhale, plant your hands, step or float. Keep the long exhale through chaturanga. Inhale for your back bend. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, bend your knees, gaze forward. As gracefully as you can, quietly float. Ardha Uttanasana, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold back in. With the breath, sweep tall. Exhale, hands to your heart, slight tuck of your chin. Inhale, arms up, gaze up. Exhale, reach and fold. Halfway up, inhale. Vinyasa with your exhale to meet back in downward facing. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees. Last one will float. Exhale. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold back. Urdhva Hastasana, stretch and reach. Exhale, hands to your heart. One more time. Inhale, gaze up, open your chest. Reach and fold. Exhale. Halfway up, inhale. On your own, step, float, fly it back. And come back to downward facing dog for 5 breaths. So use this time to reset. Resetting your breath, trying to find a little more evenness and equalness in your breath. And physically resetting your pose. Again, hide your heels. Finding the little spiraling action of your inner thighs up and back. Your arms, biceps forward. Triceps hug under. So it's really active here in downward facing. Now, last breath in. With your exhale, bend your knees, gaze forward. And this time we'll float to chair pose. Utkatasana, toes together. Slight space in your heels. Sink down into your hips, sweep your arms up. Let's take a little check of our pose. Can you still see your big toes? Scooting your hips and your shins back enough so that you can start to take the weight back as well. Just so that we're a little lighter in our heels. Try to sit up nice and tall from the back body. And then challenge yourself. Always trying to kind of right our edge. Sink a little bit deeper in your hips. With an inhale, stand tall. Exhale, hands to your heart. Chair pose, bend your knees. Can you sweep them out with your middle fingers, trying to keep the depth in your hips, just sit up tall from the back body. Exhale, straighten your legs and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, take your vinyasa, stepping or floating back. Same long exhale through chaturanga. Inhaling for your back bend. And exhale back to down dog. With an inhale, sweep your right leg up. Bend your knee, open your hip, come nice and high on your left toes. With an exhale, knee to your nose. Think of creating a nice tight little ball. Heel to your glute, thigh to your chest, and we'll step between your hands. Warrior 2. Back left foot spins flat, cartwheeling all the way up and open. Let's take a moment here and check out our pose. I like to always think of building the base first. What's the foundation of your pose? So starting with your feet, check to see that we can still see our right big toe. And we're really trying to open the hips nice and deep here. And if you are feeling open, maybe we can even soften the back left hip so that eventually it can come in line with the front right knee. Inhale. Sweep your right palm all the way up and back, reverse. Exhale, forearm to thigh. Your left arm is going to come in front of your body, up and overhead. And staying deep in your hips. One more time. Inhale, all the way up and back, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to the mat. Plant your left hand, sweep your right arm to the sky. Come onto the ball of your left toes. And just like we found here in lizard, we were on the hands with the toes tucked. Can you keep a really firm back leg? Working into your left quad. And maybe gazing down, is your right knee still tracking above your right big toe? Let's take one more breath. And with your exhale, lower your right hand, pivot your right toes out and step forward, Malasana. Hands to your heart. Open nice and wide across the chest. Take a deep breath in. With your exhale, plant your hands, straighten and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, plank pose, step back. Lower strong chaturanga. Inhale. Exhale. Coming back to down dog, reset. Inhale, sweep your left leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Come high on the right toes. Next breath, knee to your nose. Round the back body. Keep pressing the mat away to really find the space from your shin to the mat. And then we'll step between our hands. Warrior two. Back right foot spins flat. Inhale, up and open. Keep grounding down into the outer edge of your back right foot. And find a little ease. So even though we're really active here in the legs, and even active in the arms, soften your shoulders. Soften your rib cage down towards your frontal hip points. Next breath in, reverse. Sweep your left palm all the way up and back. It's side angle, forearm to thigh. Right arm comes in front of your body, up and overhead. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Coming onto your right toes, left arm to the ceiling. Staying really active in your back right leg. Last two. And one. Left toes pivot out, Malasana. Step your right foot forward. Sink your hips, open your chest. Inhale, lift your gaze. Exhale, straighten and fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands, step back. Maybe even float back. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. One more time through our B series. Lift your heels, bend your knees, gaze forward. Chair pose. Inhale, reaching up through your fingertips, lift your gaze. In this stretch, pay a little more attention to our arms. So biceps spiraling towards your cheekbones. Triceps wrapping forward. Let's come a little deeper in the heels. Inhale, stand. Exhale, hands to your heart. Sink your hips. Sweep your arms up, one breath in. Exhale, straighten and fold. Inhale, halfway. Your vinyasa with your exhale. Coming into down dog, sweep your right leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Knee to your nose, step. Warrior two. Reverse inhale. Forearm to thigh, exhale. Reverse inhale. Cartwheel your hands down, revolved lunge, exhale. Malasana, inhale, open your chest. Straighten and fold, exhale. Halfway up, inhale. Vinyasa through your exhale. Last time on the left. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. Bend your knee, open your hip. Knee to your nose, step. Inhaling as you open, warrior two. And with your breath, reverse. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, up and back, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, revolve lunge. Inhale, Malasana, hips down, heart up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. And again, with your breath, take your vinyasa step, float, or fly it back. We'll meet back in downward facing. Back to down dog. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale. Sweep your right leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Let's come high on the left toes. This time, as you flip your dog, maybe try to find a little more depth. The second time we're here on this side. Pressing your hips up. Open your chest. And then slow and controlled, quietly step forward. As you step forward, spin your back left foot flat and take your fingertips to the outside edge of your right foot or possibly a block. We're going to stay here with our right knee at 90. And then really twisting, opening our chest, reach your left arm up. So I'm revolving my heart open. Try to soften your back left hip to the height of your front right knee, but stay active in the back left foot. It's grounding down, trying to lift your inner arch. Maybe we can gaze down, and again, make sure your right knee is in line with your right big toe. Staying open across your chest and open through your hips. Take a deep breath in, gaze forward, and a big lift up, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Any options you want here? Maybe your top hand can come to your hip. If you're feeling balanced, we can get a little lighter in the bottom hand. Last two. And then one slowly. Bend your right knee. Try to connect your right thigh to your right side body. And we'll float back. Warrior two. You can adjust your stance if you need. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And with your exhale, straighten your front right leg, triangle pose, Trikonasana. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen forward. And take your left arm up. And can you keep lengthening your tailbone towards your back heel? Trying to snuggle your front right hip under. And we'll create a little flow with our breath. Rebend your front right knee. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, triangle pose. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, triangle pose. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale. To pause here in triangle. Paying a little more attention, maybe even physically bring your hands to your hips. Trying to really lengthen your tailbone. And find as much length forward out the crown of your head, really before we're looking for depth. And if you're wanting a little more, you can possibly reach your bottom arm forward. We'll hold for 3, 2, and on 1, keep the length from your side body forward, but rebend into your right knee. Right forearm to your thigh, or maybe to the inside of your right foot. Take your left arm in front of your body, up and overhead. If you're on the forearm, if you're on your bottom right hand, let's get a little bit lighter, trying to keep the depth in your hips, but creating a little lift from our side body. And with an inhale, come all the way up and into Skandasana at the back of your mat. Right arm reaches up, open your chest, lift your gaze. Lifting up through center, we'll take it to the second side. Skandasana into your right heel, left arm up, inhale. And with your exhale, back through center, let's fold in down through the middle. Halfway up with your breath, pivoting your heels in and your toes out. Find your balance as you come all the way up into goddess pose. So take a moment. Ideally, we want our heels and our toes out, trying to open as wide as we can through the hips, but make sure that you can still see both of your big toes here. Sink down as deep as you can without putting a back bend into the pose. And not really working strength, I just want you to work on the depth. So with an inhale, we'll straighten the legs and stand. With an exhale, come nice and deep into your hips. Inhale. Exhale. Maybe finding more depth each time. Inhale, we lift. Exhale. Let's go 2 more. Inhale. Exhale, nice and deep. Last one, inhale to straighten your legs. Exhale, find your depth here. Open across the hips, open through your chest. Sink a little further down. And we'll straighten the legs, pivot your heels out, and come back to your forward fold. So we're going to be here in our forward fold for at least 10 breaths. You have the option of lengthening your stance. Maybe working our Sambhokanasana, our middle split. I don't want you to be intimidated by that word. Sometimes the splits can sound so big and so scary. But just like any pose, any strength pose or any flexibility pose, we have to work on them to get any better, right? So take your time and really be patient with your body. As I start getting closer to my middle split, I like to find a little rock forward and back, really keeping the support and weight forward on my forearms or hands. And that way I'm keeping myself lifted and I choose how much weight I want to place into my hips. So I take my time, right, little by little, never forcing or rushing. And when I feel my body open up, then maybe I can put a little more weight in the hips and a little less weight in my hands. And close your eyes wherever you're at. And take our last 5 nice and slow. Wherever you're at, take your time. If you went really deep, take as much time as you need to start heel-toeing your feet back together. And we'll come back to this wide straddle. Inhale halfway up onto your hands or fingertips. Let's pivot your right foot forward. Back left foot will be horizontal with the mat. And when you're ready, come back up, warrior 2. Now notice how your body feels after opening a little deeper into your hips. How does your warrior 2 feel? There's no wrong or right answer. It's just cultivating more body awareness. Inhale, spin your right palms, come all the way up and back, reverse your warrior. And with your exhale, forearm to thigh. Left arm comes in front of your body, up and overhead, side angle. This time, if you're wanting a bind, half bind, take your left arm behind your back. Maybe we can look for our right hip crease and use that to really spiral your heart open. And if you're taking a full bind, right arm under the thigh and look to clasp the hands. Once my hands are clasped, I'm going to try to, again, find a little lift up and open my chest. If you're still adding on, you're welcome to stay in side angle or possibly work our bird of paradise. So keeping your bind, take your time here, slowly pressing up onto your left leg, and then maybe eventually opening our right leg. Whether you're in bird of paradise or side angle, take your time. We're going to meet in Malasana. Toes forward, heels in. Undo your bind. Let's take our hands to our heart and reset the breath. So sitting up nice and tall. Open your chest, open the hips. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, straighten your legs and fold in. Inhale, we'll lengthen halfway up. Exhale, your vinyasa, floating back, stepping back. Keep the breath strong, chaturanga. Inhale, find your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Reset the strength in your hands. Keep actively pressing your hips up and back. We'll sweep your left leg up when you're ready. Bend your knee, open your hip. Come nice and high onto your right toes. And slowly we'll flip it all the way over. Dancer's bridge. Use your legs. Press your hips up. Open your chest. Reach. And keep the lift in the right side body, the strength in your right hand. And slowly, left thigh to your chest. We'll step forward. As you step forward, spin your back right foot flat and take your hand, your left hand, to the outside edge of your left foot. Maybe on your fingertips, maybe on a block. We'll reach our right arm up. Now notice what's going on in your body. How's the base of your pose, your feet? Keep gluing down and grounding down into the outer edge of your right foot. Keep softening your back right hip to the height of your front left knee. And maybe we can find a little lift from the side body. Really nice. You guys gaze down in front of your left toes. Little reach, and we'll lift up with grace, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So feel here. Can you open your hips, stack your hips? And do the same with your chest. If you'd like to take any options, you're more than welcome. I'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1, let's start to just bend our thigh. Left knee comes towards your rib cage and quietly steps you back. Warrior 2. You're not glued where you land, so if you need to lengthen, lengthen. And then we'll soften. Always trying to find ease within the effort. Spin your left palm, inhale, reverse your warrior. Straighten your left leg as you lengthen forward, Trikonasana, triangle pose. So it's not just the right side body, but the front left side body as well. Right arm up, gaze up. So rebend into your left knee, reverse warrior 2. Inhale. Triangle pose, exhale. Rebend and lift, inhale. Triangle pose, exhale. Just finding your flow with your breath. We'll take our last 2. Reverse, inhale. Lengthen, exhale. Last time. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, forward. We'll pause here in triangle pose. Keep lengthening and lifting up, up, up through the left side body. Doing your best to keep your hips open, just like we did in our half moon. Maybe we want to reach our bottom arm forward. 3, 2, and 1. Rebend. Take your forearm to your thigh. Maybe your hand to the inside of your foot. And bring your right arm up and overhead, side angle. Ground down nice and firm into your front left heel. And as you lift, come all the way up and back, Skandasana. Sink into the right heel, open your chest, and reach through your left middle fingers. And inhale up through center, and exhale second side. Skandasana into your left heel. Inhale up through center, pivot your toes in, heels out. We'll come into our straddle forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, Pivot your heels in, toes out. When the balance is there, we'll enter into goddess pose. Now take a moment doing your best to find the balance between your balance and openness here. There's going to be a point when we're so open that we start to lose control. So we want to kind of ride the edge. Do your best to sit up tall through your chest, but keep your tailbone lengthening down and that little tilt in your pelvic wall. And inhale, we'll straighten. Exhale, deepen. Inhale. Exhale, trying to find a little more depth every time. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Last one, inhale. And with your exhale, we're going to find a little pause here. Try to really find your max depth. Keeping your knees open, your chest open for 5, 4, 3, 2. And with 1, straighten your legs, pivot your heels out. And we'll come back down through the center. The same options as the first side. We can start to, again, lengthen our stance. Maybe come down into our middle split. If you just want to hang free and forward fold, go there. Do your practice. 10 breaths. Last 5. Nice and slow. No need to rush. If you took it deep, we'll just start to ease your way back up. Heel toeing your feet back. And we'll come back to our straddle forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Pivot your left foot forward. Keep grounding down into the outer edge of your right foot. Warrior 2. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, form to thigh. Right arm comes up and overhead. This time maybe we'll take the option of a half bind. Right arm behind your back. If you're full binding, left arm under. Clasp your hands, open your chest. And if you took the option of bird in paradise, you can heel toe your foot forward or take a big step forward. But keep your clasp and really commit to it. Press nice and strong up onto your right leg. When the balance is there, maybe we can start to open our chest a little more and straighten our left leg. Whether you're in side angle or bird of paradise, nice and slow, it's all me in Malasana. Yogi squat. Undoing your binds, heels in, toes out. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, pivot your heels back and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, your final vinyasa, stepping or floating back. Keep the breath strong, chaturanga. Inhale, open your chest. Exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing. Inhale, sweep your right leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. And with your exhale, let's glide forward into pigeon pose. Now take your time here to set it up. The more comfortable you can be in a pose, the more you can relax, the more your muscles will relax and soften, and the deeper benefit you'll be able to reap. So if that means maybe placing a blanket under your back left knee or a block to support your front right hip, use your props. When it feels right, you can ease down onto your forearms. Close your eyes and try to soften. Sometimes we hold tension without even realizing it. Maybe shrugging our shoulders, clenching our jaw. Just take a moment to do a little scan of your body and really try to relax. Last 5 breaths. Take your time as you ease back up onto your forearms and then climb back up onto your hands. Tuck your left toes, sweep your right leg all the way up and back. Single leg down dog, bend your knee, open your hip. If it feels good, we can start to create circles in the knee, circles in the hip. And then we'll come back down to downward facing. Inhale, sweep your left leg up, bend your knee, open your hip. Coming high onto your right toes. Second side, same pose, pigeon pose. You may notice that one side of your body is a little more open than the other. And in turn, one side is probably a little stronger than the other. It's normal, and hopefully we'll start to balance that out through our practice. So be just as mindful with this side as you did the right, using your props to get as comfortable as you can. And again, let's ease down when you're ready and fully release. Surrender to your pose. When we start finding stillness in our body, sometimes that's when our mind starts to act back up. And try to keep a little awareness and focus on the breath. Keeping that fluid and even inhale, even exhale. And we'll take our last 5 breaths. And start to ease your way back up. Coming onto your hands, tuck your right toes. We'll transition into our last down dog. Bend your left knee, open your hip. And if you took the circles and it feels good, let's repeat this on the second side, moving into our hip joint, our knee, maybe even the ankle. And come back down, downward facing. Shift forward into a plank and we'll lower our knees all the way down. Let's come into frog pose. So for some of us, this is really easy. For some of us, this is really intense. If you do it correctly, I tend to be on the more intense side of this pose, but we all have different bodies. If you have a bolster, a blanket, or even the couch cushion, something you can use at home, I encourage you to get one of those here, just because the more comfortable we are, the more benefit we'll reap. So I'm going to take my knees as wide as I can, and then I'm going to gaze back and bring my heels even wider than my knees. So this part's really important here. Flexing my toes. I'm going to walk my hands forward and come down onto my forearms. So right now it feels pretty good. What's really going to intensify the stretch is me pressing my hips back. So I'm really going to find the action here. It's not going to be a lot of movement, but I'm pressing my hips back toward my heels. If I come forward, I can almost lay flat. But we really want to start working a little deeper here to the inner hips. relax. You can go ahead and let your head hang heavy or fully surrender onto your bolster, but keep that little activation here, pressing your hips back. Last 5. Take your time. I'm going to come back up to my hands. Move your heels in first, and then we can ease your knees back under your hips. If you need a little side to side, or maybe a few circles, move intuitively into your body. And when you're ready, come all the way down. We'll come onto your back and hug your knees into your chest. Apanasana. Reaching up for the outer edges of your feet. Happy baby. Doing your best to lengthen your tailbone down. And try to draw your shoulder blades down as well, closer to the mat. You can stay here in happy baby, but if you're feeling nice and open, hook your 2 fingers around your big toes, and maybe we can come into a nice wide straddle. Let's rebend. Hug your knees in, keeping a hold of just the right knee. Relax your left leg down. Inhale to set it up. With your exhale, we'll twist. Guide your knee across your body to the left, bringing your gaze over to the right. Ease your way back to center. To reset, draw your left knee in to meet your right. And we'll relax the right leg down your mat. Full breath in. Exhale as you twist, full breath out. Knee to your right, bottom hip and gaze to your left. One more time, ease back to center. Let's draw your knees into your body, close your eyes, take our final controlled breath together. A second time, inhaling all the way in and up to the top. Exhale, let it go. Open your mouth. Let's guide your heels down to each corner of your mat. Make any adjustments with your clothing or your body so that you can really lie comfortably here in stillness. Take your palms slightly away from your body, closing or covering your eyes. Shavasana. If you have the time in your day, I encourage you to stay here in Shavasana for 5 more minutes. And when you're ready, start to find a little movement trickle into your fingertips. A little movement in the toes, rolling out your wrists, rolling out your ankles. Inhale, reach your arms overhead. Like a big morning stretch, point through your toes. And then we'll ease our way onto the right side. Pressing into your left hand, come all the way back up. Let's find a seat. Keep your eyes closed. Let's take your hands to your heart, bowing your chin to your chest. Just to spend a moment here to thank yourself for taking this time on your mat, for giving back to your body. With love and gratitude, thank you so much for letting me guide you through class today. Namaste.